Nefesh HaChaim, Chapter 5. A Jew is a hybrid being, both lowly and supernal. In relation to that which arose in God's will, that man of this lowest world, be constructed in such a way that the supernal worlds are controlled by him. For it is known from the Zohar and the writings of the Rizal, in relation to the sequence of the hierarchical descent and the interconnections of the worlds, that the detail, arrangement, and behavior of every lower world is entirely dependent on the characteristics of the power of the world immediately above it, such that the upper world controls the lower world like a soul does a body. And similarly, all the world's levels are connected in the sequence of level above level, until they ultimately connect to God, who is the soul of all of them. This is in continuation to the previous chapters that talked about man's ability, especially the Jew's ability, to construct the higher worlds with our good deeds, and God forbid the opposite, which causes destruction. And so we continue by looking at the influence of these worlds. With each world, upper and lower, from the secret originating upper point until the lowest of all the levels, which is the container of the next level, each one within the next, with all the lights interconnected with each other and enlightening each other, the revealed light being referred to as the container of the king, and the inner light is hidden. In particular, the concept is explained by Rabbi Chaim of Volozhin, that the external presentation of such each partsuf and world emanates and is clothed within the partsuf and the world of the level below it, becoming its internal essence and soul. This seems to be discussing the idea of the tzimtzum of contraction, that the lights have to be transformed before it can be manifested at a lower level, according to the patterns of the lower level. All the worlds are grouped into 4 general categories, as is known, which is, in ascending order of level, are Ophanim, Chayes, Kisei Kavoidai, and the throne of glory, and Atzilus. These are names of angels, Ophanim and Chayes, Kisei Kavoidai, the throne of glory, and Atzilus. Ophanim is corresponding to this world, and Chayes to the world immediately above ours, and so on and so forth. The soul of each world category is the world category above it, as it is written. And when the Chayes were lifted, the Ophanim were lifted corresponding to them. So when the higher level is lifted, the lower one is lifted corresponding to them. For the spirit of the Chayes was also in the Ophanim. The spirit of the Chayes, the higher one, is in the spirit of the lower one. When they, the Chayes, moved, they, the Ophanim, also moved. And when they, the Chayes, stopped, the Ophanim also stopped. So here is giving primacy to the top level. When the top level stops progressing, the lower level of Ophanim follows them. And it happens ad infinitum. The behavior of the Chayes, which is the upper one, also corresponds to the world of the throne of glory above them, which is above it. As per Chazal, that the throne of glory will carry those who carried it. Right. By us carrying what's above us also carry them. As per the Zohar, the Chayes carry those who carry them. The throne of glory carries the Chayes. The living soul of the throne of glory is the secret of the supernal root of the collective of the souls of Israel, which is far higher than the level of throne itself. So each level seems to have a soul, and this soul is far higher than the level of the soul itself. It's close to the almost penultimate level of Atzilus. It is the man who sits on the throne as written, and on the image of the throne there is the image of the person. This explains the Zohar's comment on the verse back in front. You have restricted, bound me. Where back refers to the act of creation, and front to the act of Merkava. From the perspective of man's physical body, it is back that is created last in the sequence of the act of creation and is the lowest level in the hierarchy. And from the perspective of the supernal root of man's living soul, it is front, the starting point preceding the act of the Merkava, and also the world of the throne of glory. In addition, man's living soul is the secret of God's breath, so to speak, as will be explained, God willing, later. Yeah, so I'm not so sure what they mean by this back and front. Perhaps they'll explain more in depth later. Therefore, the worlds are controlled through man's actions, which, according to their inclination, whether good or bad, invoke the root of a supernal soul, which is above them, and is the soul which enlivens them. When he moves, they move, and when he stops, they stop. So these higher worlds also correspond to man's actions, according to either good or bad inclinations. Invoked the root of the supernal soul. Whatever we do down here has an effect up there, to its very root, and is the soul which enlivens them. And they correspondingly give us life down here. This is the meaning of what is said, that when the living soul was breathed into his nostrils, that it is higher than the world and their inner essence, resulting in, and the man became a living soul of the worlds. The meaning of what is said, that when the living soul was breathed into his nostrils, it is higher than the worlds and their inner essence, resulting in the man became a living soul. This is referring to Genesis, where God breathed in the living soul, which is higher than the man itself. This is similarly written by Rabbi Chaim of Volozhin. The man's soul is the inner essence of everything. Additional notes. Body is a shoe for soul connecting lowest to the highest realms. For the essence of man is fixed in the supernal realms, in a soul source, and as a result, his physical body is referred to as a shoe, referred to as tikkunim, relative to the soul, and is only the level of the heels from the source, which enters into and is contained within man's physical body. So just like the idea of the feet entering into the shoe, the heel of the foot seems to be the only sensible component of the higher realms. At least it is the interface. With this, Chazal's statement can now be understood, that God did not want to instill jealousy in the creation, and that on the first day of creation he created heaven and earth, on the second the firmament, on the third the earth sprouted. And similarly on the fourth and fifth day, resulting in equal distribution of days between the creation of the supernal and the lower realms. God did not want to instill jealousy. On the first day of creation he created heaven and earth. On the second day the firmament, and on the third the earth. The fourth and fifth day, equal distribution between the supernal and lower realms. God seemed to be spending an equal amount of time between the higher and the lower. On the sixth day, he came to create man. He said, if I create him from the supernal realms, there will be no peace in the world as a result of the imbalance. And similarly, if I create him from the lower realms, I will, however, create him from both the supernal and lower realms, dust from the earth, and he breathed the soul of life in through his nostrils. It seems that surely now these would be increased, there would be increased jealousy compared to if he created man from the lower realms alone, because he is unique to have an element of the higher realms, as now he has part of the supernal realms within him, but he is entirely in the lower realms together with the supernal part within him. However, the idea is that with a properly complete man, his essence is fixed in the supernal realm, in the supernal source of his soul. It then descends through thousands of myriads of worlds until its lower end enters into man's physical body in the lower realms. This is the meaning of God's people are a part of him. Yaakov is the cord of his possession. That his essence is tied and fixed to the supernal realms, literally a part of God, so to speak, from which it descends like a dangling cord until it reaches a person's body, and all of his earthly deeds impact to rouse his source in the supernal realms. Just as when one shakes a cord at its lower end, it sends a wave up the cord, which also shakes its upper end. So there is a connection, but it doesn't really address the idea of jealousy. Wisdom will come easily to the understanding one that this same idea is one true of the supernal source of things, the secret of Adam Ha'elyon, so to speak. Refer to the Zohar, which relates to the verse in God, Elohim for man, and explains it in relation to Adam Ha'elyon concluding. And what is all this for? In order to extract and insert within creation that which is ultimately hidden, as is written. And he breathed the soul of life in through his nostrils, a soul upon which all life in the supernal and lower realms is dependent, and whose existence is maintained by it. The man, Adam Ha'elyon, became a living soul to be impacted and enter into a state of rectification like this, and to bring out this soul from level to level, filtering down to all levels, until the end of all levels, such as this soul is found in everything and permeates everything. Refer there. Let's see if there is an address to this question. He breathed the soul of life in through his nostrils. And that soul is something that all life depend on, whether higher or lower. And man, Adam Ha'elyon, became a living soul to be impacted and enter into a state of rectification like this, to bring out the soul from level to level, filtering down to all levels until the end of all levels, such that the soul is found in everything and permeates everything. It seems like the way to obviate this problem of jealousy is to continue to do his work. Referring to the section immediately preceding the quotation, which is not brought here. Well, this will warrant further study, because surely there should be increased jealousy. But perhaps the answer is only that he is entirely in the lower realms together with the supernal part within him. But that's with a question mark. With a properly complete man. And that's an idea that recurs. His essence is fixed in the supernal realms, the supernal source of his soul. And then descends until its lower end enters into man's physical body in the lower realms. His essence is tied and fixed. It seems like the descent may be key. So that is this component. It spoke about various notions of hierarchy, the divine hierarchy, Hishtalshalis, as it is called in Chassidus, the chain order hierarchical descent of the worlds, from the highest world to the lowest. And it spoke about the different levels and their interdependency, and this dependency is manifested also that man should have control, that man's actions have a large consequence on the worlds above.